Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing. We can go down that rabbit hole. Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I agree with you that all of this information should be released. And we should get real answers on what happened to Jeffrey Epstein and any of the high-level political people that he was involved with. All of that should be open to the public. It should be absolutely transparent. And, I don't see why any of those records would have any redactions in them. Why would we be hiding that from the American public? I agree with you that all of this information should be released.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there.
A lot of phony stuff in there. You can put anything in a file, say anything about anybody. By the way, just for the record, asking a 17-year-old masseuse if she's planning on staying in the United States, that's a legitimate question.
Thursday night, you're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so.
These documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country.
My favorite moment was when the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, found out Elon accused Trump of being on the Epstein list live while podcasting.
Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump-Elon thing. That's way outside my lane.
What are they doing?
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
Not your lane? Aren't you literally in charge of the Epstein files? I know my lane. I'm just a guy in charge of law enforcement domestically. Conspiracies, crimes, cover-ups.
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. If you have a history of this, there have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented that in many of those cases, I believe over a dozen cases, this was a BuzzFeed news piece years back, where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court, and they basically just made it go away.
I ask this question now, the more I learn, there just always seems to be this connection between the CIA and the Mossad. And I'm going, is it just,
no,
they're the same organization? I think the more you look back into history, and it's always somehow the CIA and the Mossad is there on the day that JFK gets shot. We learn about like MLK, we learn about 9/11, and I'm just going, okay, why does it seem like there's a union here, a marriage here?
Mossad is like the sister of the CIA. They're joined at the hip, kind of like Siamese twins. And they use each other for intel and operations and things like that. They are extremely close and in an extremely sensitive relationship. Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this it totally explains what Epstein was doing. And also Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, when he died, and didn't he die rather mysteriously? I'm not sure.
He fell off. He found dead off his yacht, floating in the water. They claimed it was a heart attack.
Of course.
Just when he was coming under scrutiny for arms dealing and connections with the CIA and being a Mossad agent, actually a double agent with Mossad and KGB.
A ton of Mossad agents, and I think a former prime minister of Israel attended his funeral. So it's like, guys, hey, maybe
it's like,
Elaine.
It's very difficult that they find out the hard way to cover up the truth, because it's going to leak out, somewhere.
Her father was a famous MI6 Mossad spy that reportedly used sex operatives to control people. He died being thrown off a yacht in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And, of course, she got caught in that farmhouse on the East Coast, and she was really the pimp over Epstein in a giant sex network ring over scientists that they were compromising. so they could control not just government, but industry and science. And so that was the master blackmail operation they were running. Yeah, her dad was the biggest publisher in England and also the biggest owner of private TV stations in England. And when he died, it turned out he was a front basically for intelligence networks.
We know that he was close friends in some form with the former prime minister of Israel and the former head of Israeli military intelligence. We know that he was friends with just about everyone else in his day, from the heads of the world's biggest tech companies and banks to many of the biggest names in Hollywood to former and also current presidents of the United States.